Hello, investors and traders. Many retail investors have been having a difficult time navigating the current market. And to us, this was a softball pitch. To understand where we're going to do in the future, let me first tell you what we've already done. At the beginning of January, we announced that we had sold all our long positions, including QQQ, the Magnificent Seven, Bitcoin, and more. We reiterated our bear market stance after 2 years of being extremely bullish. For traders, we said it was time to short the market. For long-term investors, we advised moving into cash. To say we were right is an understatement. To have the confidence to short the market and move into cash after holding strong positions for 2 years was not just a bold move, it was a smart move. Short sellers have profited massively. 13 billion on Tesla's decline, 6 billion on Apple, 5 billion on Nvidia, and the list goes on and on. Am I the only one who saw the short side? No, as many of the institutions profited on the downturn of this market. But most retail investors didn't participate. They held on and they missed it. We've been warning for months, even when the market rallied. We told you to short the strength. Now that the market appears to be in a free fall, the question becomes what's next? And more importantly, how do you lose the fear? Let's be clear. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not selling you a Discord, a group, a counseling group, a newsletter, or even a specific ideology. I'm just posting these videos to document the truth. And the truth is, we've been right for 4 years now. What should you do? You need to build a system, one that works for you. My system doesn't rely on the old school ideas of buy and hold, buy and pray, or average down and hope it works in 25 years. My system focuses on what's likely to happen over the next 3 to 6 months, year, and it's based on probability and data. It's not based on what President Trump comes out and says in the morning or doesn't say that day. I've studied market transactions, bull to bear to bull for decades. Right now, we're still deep in a bear market. The big question is, when does this bear market end? And when do both long-term and short-term investors start buying again? I personally use over 100 indicators to build a high probability strategy. I look at the overall picture, the macro market, the overall forest, and then I break it down into the sectors to the individual stocks. My main concern is what is happening to the overall market. If you get that right, you will succeed in being a good long-term investor, intermediate term investor, and trader. But let's simplify it even more. Everyone in the know saw this coming. It didn't matter who was president. I'm not for Trump. I'm not against Trump in these videos. There could have been other global headlines other than tariffs. Previous, there was COVID, there was wars, there was Lehman Brothers. This downturn would have happened regardless. This story was inevitable. To prove my point in January, I told you with confidence to short the market and get out. Many others felt the same. Many others knew the same information what I'm saying now, but didn't say it out loud. So when is it safe to start buying again? Let me start for the long-term investors. One indicator we watch closely is the VIX. When the VIX spikes above 45, which it previously has done, and then closes below 30, that has a historical signal, a great long-term buy opportunity. In fact, since 1990, this setup has occurred 11 times. 1 year later, the S&P was up an average of 20%. But that time isn't now. I still think we can do better than just following the VIX. But you understand what I'm doing using historical information combined with analytics, technical analysis, the overall market to figure out a probability of succeeding. Just based on that information, you have a 90% chance if you can get this market lower for long-term investors to be up 20% instead of losing whatever you probably lost 35% in the last 3 months. I don't think the time is right now to buy. So right now, I continue to short into strength. When my oscillators show short and intermediate term overbought conditions, I short again. Bear markets don't offer a lot of clean opportunities, but when they do, you have to be ready. Here's the key. In a bear market, don't buy just because something is oversold. I expect a rally, and this rally could last 1 to 4 weeks, but I did not see a real trend for us getting out of this bear market. Let me give you an example. When you watch this market, you drop 4% and then you bounce 1%. Then you drop another 3% and you go up 1%. That's not a bull market. That's a textbook bear market. This is the opposite of 2023 and 2024 when we were buying the dips. Now we're shorting the rips. And until this bear market ends, and I do believe it will end, you need to wait to buy into this market. So for long-term investors, build up your cash position. Within the next 6 to 12 months, you'll get the opportunity to buy back in on your terms. Until then, stay disciplined, stay focused, build a system, and trade the trend that's in front of you. To understand my philosophy, it comes down to a chart. I believe there's 4 phases of every market. These phases could last from 6 months to 1 year to 4 years, but still there are phases. I use these 4 phases to help me with my other indicators to decide where the macro is going. So my head is clear and not listening to the day-to-day news of what's going on. There's a part where the overall market goes nowhere, and this is called the accumulation phase, where people don't see it going up, don't see it going down, and just in a trading range. From there, an economic event happens or something happens that triggers a growth phase. Of course, this is the most popular of the phases that most retail investors love, and it is strong and it's a feel-good place. In 2003 and 2004, we were in the growth phase. The beginning of January, we were in what's called a distribution phase, where the markets were still going up, but it was very unhealthy. And now, for the last 3 months, we are in a declining phase. Even yesterday, with the market moving upwards, I'm not 100% sold that we don't rally and then sell off again. This feels like a fake out. So I'm saying not just yet. Disclaimer, the information provided on our channels for education informational purposes only is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial advice. My system starts with a top down. I'm always focusing on the big picture. Where do you think the overall market is going? I don't want to hear about sectors or individual securities yet. I want you to tell me, where do you think this market is going and the reasons why this market is going higher or lower? I reiterate, this is the key. Decide on which direction this market is going. And for me, if I decide it's a bear market, I am not buying. I am shorting. I am buying things that were counteractive to the market. What's your trading edge to predict the overall market? What is your trading edge? My trading edge is over 100 indicators. All these 100 indicators do not all work well at a certain time. But if you put them all together, you get a pretty good indication of what's going to happen based on probability. So to make it simplistic, if you put 6 indicators together and watch those 6 indicators and see them through years and have a probability of succeeding, it takes the thought process and the nervousness out of investing. Usually one indicator does not make a strategy and should be coupled with other indicators to give you high probability. You should also be consistent. I'm not going to be a fundamentalist. I'm not going to be even a day trader. This is the system I've been doing for 20 years. This is the system I believe in. Are there other systems that work? Absolutely. Are there other methodologies that work? Absolutely. But I find using historical information, analytical information, technical analysis information, and putting that all together to come up with a probability is a better system than waiting on a PE ratio to fall or holding something on for 25 years or averaging down every time the stock market falls. I am based off a rule-based system. I have rules. I follow these rules. I use a weight of evidence. And again, in a three-part process: overall market, sectors, and then individual securities based on probability, a strategy, and my following move. So, what do I think? I think the overall market is still bearish, intermediate term and long term. This will not win me subscribers. This will actually, in fact, lose me subscribers, but it's okay. It's okay to be different. Remember, the stock market is a zero-sum game. There's winners and losers every day. And when 3 months ago, the big institutions were selling, the insiders were getting out. Warren Buffett was raising cash to extreme levels, and millions and billions were made off the shorting of this market. Tell me that has a system that you take some profits off the table is not a bad idea. My investment strategy is a data-driven approach to maximize success. Let's go to what's happening right now. Again, not just yet. A bear market rally can happen to 1 to 4 weeks, just like for the last 2 years when the market was selling off, we were telling you to keep buying the market. So I want to show you what happened and our recommendations for 2003, 2024. From January 18, 2023, we were telling you buy into this market. For every month till December, we were telling you buy on pullbacks, buy on pullbacks, buy on pullbacks, buy on pullbacks. This was just one position. It worked well. And even in this upswing, we still had times we went lower and then went back up. But in January, we switched our position to short the market. And every month since then, we've been telling you the same thing. On strength, short into the market. We've been rewarded. Now, if we start seeing things change and we start switching to a bull market, a sustainable bull market, 6 months to 1 year of this market going upwards, we would change. But why do we say it's not a bull market? One, you have 80% of the S&P and NASDAQ in a declining phase. So if everything is going down, everything is trading below its moving averages, and you're just getting pops, well, that's not a sign we're going to have a sustainable 6 months to 1 year to buy in the depths. Yesterday was a good day in the market, but one day is just noise. One day is to get you excited. There'll be plenty of time to ride this market up if this truly is a bull market move. I am big on the VIX and the VXN. I study it a lot, and this is very important for me to understand the fear and euphoria. When the VIX hit on a 50-day moving average up to 50, it was definitely time to take some profits off the table on the shorts. But thus saying that, I don't see us going down to 15 on the VIX. So what happens? This is the new fear level that we would be basing soon. Thus saying that, I know in the next 1 year to 1.5 years, or somewhere in between there, we will go back to being into a bull market. Not just yet. We go further into the CCI indicator, which is a bullish sign. What usually happens on a CCI indicator in a bearish market, we go up to 0 and then bounce lower down there. Remember, one indicator does not make a system, so the CCI is bullish. Our overbought, oversold indicators are neutral right now. So we could have a few more days of up days before I short into this market. But I am not buying into this market because my system says when we're in a bear market, I don't buy. The next thing to look at is when to short. You have certain overbought, oversold indicators. And then when these levels get to highs, high probability, then you short. This is all neutral. I love this one, the components of the overbought, oversold. And again, this is not the best time to short into it. If you look at the Magnificent Seven, all of them are on a declining phase. And then you go to the market sentiment, bullish, Put call options bullish, Ridex bullish, stock price strength bullish. So we are inevitably going to have a little bit of up days. But for me, I will be waiting for a high probability chance to short into this market. Again, this will not make me subscribers. This will not make me popular on YouTube. You want to hear me to say, just buy and hold, and we'll all be in this downswing together. Nah, just on a long-term position on my shorts, not making one move in January, not buying, not shorting more on the rallies, not getting out when the VIX hit 50, 25% up, while most people probably are down close to 35% for the year. Which would you rather be? Up 25% the next 3 months or down? Thus saying that you need to build your own system. We put ourselves out there, and we'll see you on the next video.